Hyperdrive Hockey is brought to you by the Game Over Network. Make sure to follow us on YouTube at Game Over Network and catch Hyperdrive Hockey in audio format on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other good streaming platform. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Hyperdrive Hockey. My name is Maxime Venut. Along with me today, Daphne Malbeuf. Daph, how are we doing?
Oh, Max, it's the Frozen Frenzy. It is. Frozen Frenzy, which is the NHL day where all the 32 teams are playing. So it's hard to not be in a good mood.
I feel like this is a cheap shot to the Lightning and the Leafs, who will be the only two teams playing in the back-to-back. You know what? Just right here, right now, I just had the NHL's marketing team hire me. It should be it should be the Frenzy week. You play either Tuesdays and Thursdays or Thursdays and Saturdays, and it's every single game that there are 64 games, or no, 32, because my maths. There are 32 games that week, and it's all home and home between rivals. There we go.
Oh, that's interesting. You should submit that.
Yes. So let's say yesterday. When I say rivals, it does you can switch them every year. It's I don't know, Montreal, Boston don't have to play every year. Calgary, Edmonton don't have to play every year. 1 year it can be Calgary, Vancouver, and Edmonton and Colorado. You can go into, there are some forms of rivalries. I always say this. So there are natural rivalries, historical rivalries. So I don't know, Boston, Montreal is one. And there are some that are temporary, based strictly on, let's say if two teams are really good at the same moment. To me right now, Florida-Boston is a brand new, beautiful rivalry filled with hatred that I consider a rivalry.
And that was what I was. Let me rephrase that. So I was about to propose you this. Let's not make historical rivalry. I want to see brand new rivalries each year. Seeing teams that went up in the playoffs against each other, and it was absolute battles between them each year. Let's make let's make new rivalries.
You flip things up, because anyway, I feel like games that are played on back-to-back nights should always imply teams that are on back-to-back nights. I always feel like this is a huge advantage. I know it's not in the absolute, I know the Kings easily beat the Habs when they were on a back-to-back and the Habs weren't. So I know it's not automatic, but it is a huge advantage. And anyways, I think it's awesome. We will talk about it a bit later, how the most marquee matchup on Tuesday between all those NHL teams, because yes, they are all playing. But I do think that you could have something right here, a whole week. Every teams that week plays 2 games, home and home against a rival. I feel like that would be amazing. I think the fans would be in it. I think it would create a narrative. I think it would be really, really awesome.
Yeah, I'm up for it too. Let's make that happen.
And now, only 2 weeks into the NHL season, only one remains. Only one NHL team is still unbeaten, and that is the Winnipeg Jets. By the way, on the clip from 2 weeks ago, I did not expect my take on those Winnipeg Jets to stir so much passion. I'm really sorry if you do like the Winnipeg Jets jersey. It's your right. I do not like them, and it's chill. It's opinion. Fashion is beauty is in the eye that the person that behold. I think you would say this in English. Anyways, the Winnipeg Jets might not look good to me in terms of fashion, but on the eyes, they look completely amazing.
Yeah, and if you're looking at one thing, they have the best differential in the NHL right now at +16. it's kind of amazing. For me, it's just like, and we're not relying too much on Connor Hellebuck.
They're not, because Eric Comrie came in that 6-3 wins over Pittsburgh and got the W. Connor Hellebuck is amazing to start the season with a 1.25 goal against average. He is at the moment second in the league for save percentage for goalies who have played a minimum of 3 games. Actually, he's now third. Kevin Lankinen has gotten tied now with Jake Ottinger. But I agree with you. Despite his stellar play, they're not leaning on him as much as I would have thought, because the best player right now for the Winnipeg Jets are bringing it on. And what I think is amazing right now is that I'm looking at a team that can beat you in many ways. They will gladly beat you 2-1. We talked about this last week. They will gladly beat you 2-1. But if comes a team like the Pittsburgh Penguins, who don't have a problem scoring goal to start the season, but give a damn ton of it, they will play that game and beat you 6-3.
Yeah, and here's the thing also, they have a really good special teams. Like, they have been elite, and I feel like it's making a difference.
And everybody's bringing it. They have, at the moment, 7 players that are at a point per game, that have 5 points in 5 games. They have 2 more that have 4 points. By the way, Cole Perfetti's silently having a good start to the season is the best news, in my opinion, for the Winnipeg Jets. We talked about it in our first episode before they started playing. I remember saying, I hope Cole Perfetti is back to first half of the last season Cole Perfetti, and not the guy who had so much problem down the stretch. So far, so good for him. And of course, I told it a bit earlier, but Mark Scheifele has 5 goals in 5 games. Josh Morrissey is being very good. Kyle Connor is doing Kyle Connor thing. So the thing is going very, very well for the Winnipeg Jets, and I'm impressed. I'm really impressed.
I'm impressed too, but there are other teams, Max, that, like, are still unbeaten in regular time.
Yeah.
This season.
Just before we go there, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What did you think of the Winnipeg Jets fans chanting, "Where's Roger?" in regard to Roger McGroarty? I'm so here for it. That, like, I'm not the biggest fan of when fan base boo a player. I don't know, like an ex-player who didn't ask to be traded, or you can boo the best player on the other team. It's part of the game. You pay the big buck nowadays to go to a sporting event, as long as it's classy, as long as it's it's not too much. I don't have a problem with it. But that, I know he's just a kid, and I know right now he's not in the NHL, but I don't think I would have done what Roger McGroarty would have done, but the rules are what they are. I think that they're bad. I think the NHL should look into it, because I feel like, especially those, not the A+ American prospects, like those just a bit lower, seems to have a bit of an edge, because they can use the card of, I'm just going back to college and I'm going to sign elsewhere one day. So I feel like those rules should be changed. But Roger McGroarty, just like Cutter Gauthier a year before, or less than a year before, actually, he used his right. But the Jets fans are way within their right to have reacted the way that they did. I thought it was amazing. I'm here for it.
Yeah, and it was a big part of, the drama, and a big part of the scenario when it happened. So I feel like it was just a way of saying, like, you're not here, and you know what? We don't even need you, and we're just gonna, kind of laugh about it. I don't see I don't see it as the baddest thing. Like, I kind of enjoyed it. As you said, like, I'm here for the tea. It wasn't, for me, I didn't see it like it was disrespectful. It was just like, okay, it was a big thing, and let's just make a thing about it. And they did. And it was pretty hilarious. Like, you gotta have passion, and the Jets fan are passionate, so it comes with it.
I think I loved it so much because it's from Winnipeg. Since coming back into the league, Winnipeg has that it's Winterpeg, small market. People are going to say it's in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of Canada. I have never been to Winnipeg. I'm sure it's a beautiful city, but it is not the go-to destination. I was really happy for the Jets when both Scheifele and Hellebuck together signed to stay there. I thought it was a statement. And I think that those fans, they wear it on their sleeve. They have a chip on their shoulder, and that is beautiful. And we've talked about that brand of hockey that they are building right now. For Winnipeg to be as a small market, as a small Canadian market, because let's face it, I'm guessing it's probably either the smallest or the second smallest Canadian market with Ottawa. They're going to need that type of passion, that type of, brotherhood between the players, with the fans. And yeah, basically politely saying, screw you, Roger McGroarty. We don't need you, as you said. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Congratulations to the Winnipeg Jets. Jets fans, they stayed classy. They made it known what they thought. And the team got a 6-3 win. And Roger McGroarty is in the AHL. So
let's taunt him.
just a little bit.
A little bit.
So you said it. We now have 4 teams that have not yet lost the game in regulation. Those teams obviously are the Winnipeg Jets. The Winnipeg Jets are standing at 5-0, best team in the NHL. The New York Rangers are 4-0-1 at 9 points, and it's the only team in the East that has not lost in regulation yet, because the other 2 teams are the Minnesota Wild at 3-0-2 and the Calgary Flames at 4-0-1. And so now let's take a look at those 4 teams and how would we rank them so far this season? Daph, as far as I am now on the Jets plane, how would Ben plane? Like if we adapted Ben Wagon, Ben plane. Anyways, I have them second. I have to give respect to the reigning President Trophies champion, the New York Rangers, with a smoking hot Igor Shesterkin, definitely not impacted in a negative way by the contract negotiations or lack of contract negotiation, whatever. Artemi Panarin is doing Artemi Panarin's thing, but maybe the most impressive thing to me is Alexis Lafrenière, who might finally start looking like a first overall pick. And so I have the New York Rangers at number 1 ahead of the New York Jets at second between these 4 teams.
You know what? I put the Jets first and the
Which is
Rangers
really, really
second,
legit.
because I feel like the Rangers is not as a surprise as the Jets are right now. And so for that, I give them a lot of credit. And as you said, like there's a lot of people on this on this team who have been contributing to the success of the team. So for me, the Jets are first, but there's not much. And you know what? Maybe Igor Shesterkin, Max, is making something of himself to prove that he's worth $11 or $12 million.
Yeah, he's making a case out of it.
Yeah.
But
proving a
yeah,
point here.
Exactly. But if Alexis Lafrenière plays like this all year, and there is an argument to be said that he will, because he was one of the Rangers' best player in the playoffs, close to a point per game in the playoffs, 8 goals, 6 assists in 16 games last spring. And the New York Rangers head coach said it. He's just carrying on to this season what he did in the playoffs, so it's no surprise. 3 goals, 3 assists to start the season, 6 points. I think, sometimes, and I'm guilty of it myself, sometimes I feel like with hockey, especially those high first overall picks that get into the league right away, we kind of forget how young they are. Sometimes this is overdone. Like, sometimes the player is 25 years old. Yeah, that's not so young anymore. But Alexis Lafrenière, less than a month ago, turned 23 years old. To give you an idea, that is younger, almost a year younger than Jaden Daniels, the second overall pick in the last draft in the NFL, who is currently a rookie tearing it up for the Washington Commanders. He is younger than that guy. and he is already in his 5th NHL season. So yes, sometimes it can take time. Last year, we finally saw a bit of development. 57 point, close to 30 goals. Still not your usual first overall pick pedigree, but this year, I think it could be the year for Lafreniere.
And do you feel like, he had to adjust to the way that the Rangers wanted him to play?
Well, that is a good question. Yes, but also, Alexis Lafreniere was drafted first in 2020. So if you remember at home, this is the draft that occurred in the fall because of COVID. It was a draft at home. And also it was a draft that the New York Rangers should not have even been in the lottery, if I remember correctly. What I mean by this is, the Montreal Canadiens made the playoff that year, but when the league stopped in the spring, they were literally playing the Buffalo Sabres that night, and they could have been eliminated.
Yeah.
And so because COVID hits a day later, and maybe the Habs are not in the playoffs. Anyways, no, the Rangers were in a similar position. Okay, I apologize for this. They would have been. They did have only 79 points. They would have been in the lottery, but they made a huge jump to win that lottery. So what I'm saying is they're not your usual first overall pick team. Alexis Lafreniere came on a team that was stacked offensively, was not given any particular big offensive role right away, as it usually is the case, and you grow and you get stats and all of that. So there were growing pains for him, and now he is coming of age.
Always the same ones who have it all, right?
yeah, we could talk about this long and long. So I have Rangers, I have Jets number 2, obviously, and I'm so sorry, Calgary fans. All due respect, I'm going with the Wild in the 3rd position and the Flames in the 4th position. I'm going to need more from the Flames. The Minnesota Wild is a team that I had in the playoffs to start the year. The Calgary Flames are not. The Minnesota Wild is a team that I enjoy so much because 2 of my favorite players are there, of course. My personal favorite all-time, Marc-André Fleury, but also Brock Faber, who I completely fell in love with last year. This is my type of defenseman. And plus, I love the glasses. Clark Kent and Superman attitude from Brock Faber. Kirill the Thrill. I believe in the Wild much more than I believe in the Flames. I kind of want the Flames to prove me wrong. I kind of do. But as of right now, I'm going to have the Wild just a bit ahead of the Flames.
You're not feeling that they're gonna have a falling back to earth moment coming?
The Flames?
No, the Wild.
No, I feel the Flames will. I think the Wild is a better team. I think the Wild is a better team than the Flames. And I feel like the Flames are going to have a moment to get back on a hurt. But again, kind of wish I'm wrong.
And I have a little stat here, Max. Okay, maybe it's, sometimes they're meaningless, but the Flames gained 9 points out of 10 points possibility. And when you look at history stats, there are some teams that went out the first few games that gained the same amount of points. And they were 87.5% of those teams that with such a good start, they have made the playoffs. Do you feel that the Flames are going to be in that percentage?
What you're telling me is I should be worried about my pick of the Nashville Predators to win the Central Division.
Well. I don't want to prove you wrong, but...
Oh, my God. I don't feel like the Flames are... I feel like the Flames are... I still don't have the Flames in the playoffs. I don't. I mean, as of right now, the Nashville Predators, the Edmonton Oilers, the Colorado Avalanche in the West are all outside of the playoff spot. For Edmonton and Colorado, I am 100% convinced that they will be back in the playoff. The Vancouver Canucks and the Vegas Golden Knights are out of the playoffs as of right now. I'm 100% convinced that at least one of these 2 teams will make the playoffs, maybe 2. So yeah, to me, the Calgary Flames... Actually, you know what? The whole 3 first team in the Pacific Division are teams I had not in the playoffs. Calgary, LA, Seattle. Out of those 3, it's the Kings I see making the playoffs if one of them makes the playoffs, not the Flames. I'm sorry. I'm so
This
sorry.
is why you have your King's hat on today.
Oh my God, I do. I forgot him. Yeah, I do.
But
it's just a beautiful cap.
For me, it's just like the Flames. I feel like the biggest question marks that we had heading to the season had been, I don't know how, but their biggest strength right now. They're working hard. They're battling in every game. They're getting contributions from up and down the lineup. They have a good attitude. It seems like their system is working and they're working for each other. Like they're there. And I feel like this kind of start of the season can affect on the longer, like in the longest streak, and just like make them have a nice year. So yeah, I see. I don't know. I have the Flames third and the Wild in fourth position.
Okay. There was a joint interview with Anthony Manta and Jonathan Huberdeau here in Quebec this week, and Manta saying that Jonathan Huberdeau was one of the reasons why he wanted to go to Calgary, and of course, I'm always rooting for some homeboys, and they're playing together right now on that third line. Third line, like whatever. I just did quotation mark for those of you listening without the video. I'm just going to be so happy for those two guys. They're a player that I really love. So again, I hope I'm wrong on the Calgary Flames.
And for the Wild, like they were not a playoff team last season, and they didn't do like any moves during the summer that could make us believe that they could take a step forward. Do you feel like there's something changing there?
Well, I understand what you mean, but some players like Brock Faber are getting definitely going to get better. As much as I love Fleury at this stage of his career, and I've never been the biggest Philip Gustafsson fan, so I was really glad for Fleury that he came back for 1 year, but I do question if we're going to see Jesper Wallstedt at some point this season. No, I'm just rooting on everything to click for the Wild.
Okay, and Gustafsson is off to a great start, so.
Yeah, and Matt Boldy, I also feel is going to take some step forward and all of that. So yeah, this is my take. This is my take on the Wild. So this is your story today. There are still 4 unbeaten team in regular time. If you would let us know in the comments, please, how would you rank them as of right now? So I have the Rangers at first, the Jets at second, the Wild third, and the Flames at 4. If you're from Calgary or simply a Calgary fan, feel free to come at me in the comment. I am ready for it. And Daph has the Jets at first, the Rangers at second, the Flames in third, and the Wild in the last position.
So don't come at me.
I will never find a way to get Daph into my Marc-André Fleury bandwagon. I have accepted this a long time ago.
No, I loved it. I love him a lot.
Did you see his Halloween costume?
That was amazing. And talking about Halloween costume, I'm just like making a little. Have you seen the Joseph's brother costume?
That was terrifying. Oh my god, that was terrifying. Oh.
I didn't send a picture, but it was just like the twins from
What's the name of that
the
movie
White
in
Chicks.
The White Chicks. Yes.
The White Chicks movies.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was just like let just people take a few moments and a few minutes of your time to go on Instagram and see it's hilarious. And when they're seeing each other, they're just laughing. But yeah, Fleury always
Fleury was McLovin from Superbad, and the thing is, he actually kind of looked like McLovin at 39 years
like
old.
Him.
Oh, that was beautiful. There were a couple others that I saw because, of course, Halloween parties are a big thing every year among NHL players. So there was one of the things I thought was hilarious was there were 2 players from the Seattle Kraken. It was Chandler Stevenson and I think Jaron McCann. They were both with their partner dressed as Jack and Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas. I preferred the Jaron McCann one because he went for a makeup of Jack, whereas Chandler Stevenson had the mask on. And also there were 3 Chicago Blackhawks player and their partners dressed as some characters from Clue. It was Bertuzzi, Taylor Hall, and I don't remember who the third one was, but yeah, some amazing Halloween costume. Good on them, having a lot of fun. Obviously, NHL teams are having their parties, at a moment near Halloween that they don't have a game. So yeah, we'll maybe have some Halloween content coming our ways.
And like every, like Friends group, it seems like they're always like the ones who are like super pumped and super into it and have like the best of costumes.
Of course.
And there are people like me who are like,
you hate it?
Halloween. No, I love people that are so into it and that have great ideas. I'm just the one that has never a clue of what I'm gonna pull off for Halloween and ends up having like a bad costume.
Yeah, I'm the guy who loves to dress up and put a costume on and has a gazillion ideas but doesn't take the time to execute it.
Well, write us in comments. What Halloween type are you?
I had long hair until the start of the summer, and I thought I was going to incorporate my long hair into a Halloween costume this year. I was like, I'm either going to be Jon Snow or John Wick. And then summer came, and it was way too hot outside, and I chopped the hair. So screw that. Anyways,
maybe you can pull off a little toupee like Marc-Andre Fleury did.
Yeah. Right now, I will not take off the cap because today I played hockey late last night, and I woke up with what seemed like might have wanted to look like a faux hawk, but yeah. Anyways, you know what? Let's go coast to coast. That's enough. That's enough hair talk. Kev, let's go coast to coast. Obviously, we have spent a lot of time talking about the Winnipeg Jets and the Calgary Flame, but now let's talk about the other Canadian teams. The Edmonton Oilers took care of business at first, but against the Preds, but couldn't handle the Dallas Stars. And I know that the Edmonton Oilers beat the Stars in the Western Conference Finals last spring. And I know for a lot of you listening, this is all that matters. I learned it when I looked at the comments on that Jets talk we had a few days ago. You can go check it out on Game Over Network's YouTube page if you want to. A lot of people were like, meh, as long as they don't do a thing in the playoff, I don't care, which is fine. But as of right now, the Oilers took a step back and the Dallas Stars took a step forward. The Dallas Stars are the better team out of the two, and I don't see the Oilers as of right now beating the Stars in the best-of-7 series. With that being said, it's a long season, marathon, not a sprint, blah, blah, blah. The Stars look good. The Oilers are starting to look a little bit like something. I don't think the start of the season is going to end up being as catastrophic as last year, Daph, but they're not on the Stars level yet.
And you know what frightens me, Max, is the way that they're losing. For example, the game against the Stars, they control for most of the opening 40 minutes, and somehow they managed to lose. They managed to give a power play goal at the very end of the second period, and then they had some chances. They didn't capitalize on it, and they were controlling the game for the first 2 periods, and at some point, they didn't in the third period. They just collapsed. And this is what frightens me. And as you said, we're at the beginning of the season, blah, blah, blah. But I don't like what I'm seeing. They need to focus on that. It's the way. It's the way that they're losing. And I don't like that. And they're also like, can we talk about the power play here? Because they're 1-15.
Yeah, this is not the Edmonton Oilers we know.
Yeah, and something that has been their weapon for, they've been the best NHL power play over the previous 3 seasons, and now they can find their mojo there. And this is something that's been lacking also in their performances.
Yeah. Connor McDavid is at exactly a point per game right now. I will not start worrying about the Edmonton Oilers until Connor McDavid is doing his thing and they're still losing. What I mean by this is at this point last season and even a bit further down, I think he was was at the start of November. So in 10 days from now, Connor McDavid was under a point per game. I'm going top of my head here, but it was like 100th or something in point. And of course, he ended up with 132 points, 100 assists, came back from the dead, rah, rah, rah. Leon Draisaitl, same thing. Right now has 3 goals, but only 5 points. So as long as, if these two in, I don't know, a month from now are at their regular pace and the Edmonton Oilers are still where they are in the standing, now I'm going to start worrying, but not yet. But I do have a question. Do you think Jeff Skinner is starting to wonder if he is the jinx? my man, poor Jeff Skinner, 1,012 games and counting, no playoffs. If there is one thing, that guy probably hung up the phone this summer. I don't know if he's married or has a girlfriend or whatever, but probably told at least his family going, hey guys, you're going to see me in the playoffs in the spring. I'm headed to Edmonton, baby. And as of right now, he's like, oh no, not again.
Is this a Jeff Skinner's curse? Can we call it that way?
I'm starting to think
so. Poor guy.
I think he might has the record now. I think I saw this pass. Because what was his name? I remember Ron Hainsey was on some sort of a similar run. He started his career with the Habs. I think he went with Atlanta. Yeah, it is Jeff Skinner. It is at least oh no, this is active. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to check for all time. But among the active players, obviously he is the player with the most games without a playoff appearance.
And this is not the record that you want to be on. This is not something you're chasing. Poor Jeff Skinner. I
have it here. Most games without career playoff appearance, and that was back when he was at 937. He is now at 1,006.
Oh no. Feeling for him. But you talked about Connor McDavid and Draisaitl being good, but it's not enough.
Of course.
It is not enough. Like through 6 games, Edmonton has allowed fewer than 3 goals just one time.
Yeah.
This is a problem. We've talked about it, the defensive and the goaltending. Okay, but what are other forwards doing? Like, where is Zach Hyman?
Right now, the elephant in the room, exactly. Zach Hyman, 54 goal last year. I mean, for most people, this was a fluke, but at the same time, since joining the Edmonton Oilers, Zach Hyman has been reliable. 27 and 27 for 54 in 21-22. 36-47 for 83. He actually had more points 2 years ago in 22-23, and then 54 goals last year. He has a big 0 across the board right now. That is the thing is, I think Zach Hyman, in a way, is too dependent on Leon and Connor. What I mean by this is, and I'm saying this with love because I really appreciate that role. Zach Hyman is there to collect the trash in front of the net. Go see his goal chart from last year, like the heat map where the goals came from. And I think there might have been one that came out of like 3 feet from the goalie. He's there to collect those rebounds and put them in. It's a tough job. And so, yeah, he is reliable on the puck getting there and collecting those rebounds. But to me, it's not even the goals. It's the 0 assists. It's no contribution at all.
And not like he doesn't try. Like, he had 5 shots against Nashville, 4 shots against Dallas. He's 0 on 14 shots. So a 0 shooting percentage.
Yeah.
Comparisons to last year, he was 18.6% on shooting percentage. And now he's 0. But as you said, like, not even having an assist, you're going to have to step up.
Yeah, you can say what you want about Zach Hyman, but this guy has always come to me as a hard-working player, and I think he will figure it out. But as of right now, it is really, really worrisome. Let's talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs. They are not worrisome at all. I know our man, Mr. Kevin Laramie, was doing the stats yesterday on the French broadcast for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they brought the heat. They brought the heat on Tampa. It was a weird game for Andrei Vasilevsky because I felt like in the first period, he really held things together for Tampa, and then it all went downhill from there. Willie Nylander looking good. The Leafs are looking good. I was really looking forward to that game, Daph, because the Leafs failed that first test against the New York Rangers last weekend.
Mhm.
And I loved the way they bounced back against the Tampa Bay Lightning. I just said how, as of right now, the Dallas Stars are better than the Edmonton Oilers. Yesterday, the Toronto Maple Leafs showed that they are better as of right now than the Tampa Bay Lightning. Obviously, in that case, a very big asterisk because, yes, Steven Stamkos is gone. I don't care. Like, this is a case where I'm going to agree with 100% of you who say, yeah, talk to me in the playoffs, but they are looking so good.
And do you feel like they're finally building some character? As you said, they are bouncing back from the loss that they had against the Rangers. And for me, it has been the narrative since the beginning of the season. I've told you last week, I really like what I've seen from Berube era, as he is demanding greatness, and it's showing up. And I feel that they're building characters,
Yeah,
along the season to prepare to come in the playoffs, ready to show some character. Because this, like, we forget when we say, oh, these are good teams and I don't care about the season, I care about what they're going to do in the playoffs. But here's the thing, you're building what you're going to do in the playoffs during the season. So for me, it seems like a big shift on the narrative for the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, I love how much like they're doing well. So Mitch Marner's contract isn't even a talking point right now. Austin Matthews, only 3 goals is in the talking point right now. But to me, I've always been a big Will Nylander fan. And we talked last week about Elias Peterson not showing up to that contract. And so far, Will Nylander is proving that he's deserving of that contract.
And Max, we were worried about Joseph Woll having an injury. Anthony Stolarz is stealing the show there. Yesterday, I don't know if you've seen, but he made a sensational goal line stop while the Lightning had 2-man advantage. And I feel like having him battling maybe for the... Do you feel like he could maybe battle for the first goalie title?
Oh, definitely. That's why they brought him in. I did not believe in him. We talked about it first episode of the season. Because last year he was the best number 2 goalie in the league. Number 2. He is a veteran. I thought that Anthony Stolarz, you knew what you had from him at this point. He is leading the NHL in goal save above expected right now at 8.77, ahead of Jake Ottinger, Igor Shesterkin. Even his traditional stats are sensational. Everything right now from him, 938, 1.83 goal against average. So yeah, I am surprised, as always, with those, I guess we can call journeyman goalies, who Anthony Stolarz is now 30 years old. With such journeyman players this deep in their career, I've always said that the difference nowadays, there used to be a time when, yes, Martin Brodeur played, I think he once played 75 games in the season, and I want to say he once played even more than that. But it was because first the time changed and they were physically able to do it because of like the tier and the grind of an NHL season wasn't the same. But also it was because like Martin Brodeur's backup were not on Martin Brodeur's level, not even close. Nowadays, number 2 goalies, they're good, but it's, can they do it for 20 or 50 or 40? And that's what I want to see from Stolarz, because the most games he's ever played in a season is 28 back in 01-02.
I just saw the stat, Mike. I'm in awe. I'm in shock. 77, yeah.
78 in the 6-7.
70, 70, 72, 72, 73, 73, 75, 78 in 06-07, 77 in 07-08, 09-10, 77.
From 97, from 97 to 08, he had a decade of 70-plus starts. And you can add to that 77 in 95-96, 77 in 09-10. So he was injured in 08-09, played only 31, played only 67, I did quotation mark again, in 96, 97. He only played 67, but other than that, there's a reason that his win record I don't think will ever be beaten. I'm trying to think what would have to happen for it to no. I mean, even a guy like Vasilevsky nowadays, because you would need the combination of the amount of game, the workload, and playing on a great team for a long time in a cap era. I mean, Vasilevsky at 30 years old now is at 296. I mean, not even in the same ballpark.
Not even, but
ain't even halfway there.
Is good news for the Leafs, and I feel like it's gonna brought up, just like good competition between the two of them, just like making the best out of them, trying to get the best out of each other.
Kevin, you worked that French game for the French broadcast. That's French game. Yep. That's Leafs game.
Yep.
For the French broadcast, how did you like the Leafs?
Actually, really, really impressed. Of course, this was a bit dictated by Vasilevsky's struggle. If we go back to the last 3 games, Vasilevsky has a goal against average of .490 and a saving percentage of only .821. So that's really bad when considering the standard of an Andrei Vasilevsky. So that did dictate the pace a little bit. He was substituted in the middle of the second period because they're playing again tonight. But when I looked at the grit that you guys were talking about with Toronto, Craig Berube lost his mind when he conceded the second goal, yelling at his players, "What are you guys doing? Wake the F up," because he's building those instincts. Of course, Max Domi was there to do Max Domi things later in the period and helped his team show fight, literally and figuratively. But when we look at the Craig Berube era so far, he is bringing that grit that we knew of him as a player and that we've seen with the Blues in 2018-2019. Let's not forget, the Blues were last in the NHL on January 3rd, 2019. And they ended up singing Gloria and winning the Cup a couple months later.
What would be the glory of the Leafs? Would have to be some Drake, I guess, or some The Weeknd.
Well, if you choose Drake, you're gonna
started from the bottom. Now we're here.
No. They did not start from the. No. I refuse. Austin is friend with the Beebs. Could be the Beebs.
We'll see what happens since then. There's a lot of things happening there.
I don't mind the Beebs. I don't think he has a rally song. I know he tried to make one on one of his albums. He tried to make like a Leafs rally song. I'm not big enough on his catalog. It was the kind of a greenish album just before, or I think it was the one with Peaches on it. Anyways, we're not gonna have a Justin Bieber discussion. All respect to the Biebs, but let's not go there. The Leafs are good. The Leafs are very, very good.
You might need some Tragically Hip or something a bit more like from the Canadiana, if we talk about Americana, like Canadiana, maybe. But we'll see.
I would go for some Billy Talent.
I'm curious, people from Toronto who are listening, what would be the song that you would rally up behind the Leafs playoffs run to the Cup?
I'm going with some Billy Talent. Let's go. Show some Toronto love and let's put some Billy Talent on it. I have not decided which one yet. I will get back to you on Friday with this. The Leafs look good. The Montreal Canadiens don't, Daph. 4 games in 11 days. And unfortunately, a loss against the Pittsburgh Penguins, a loss against the King, and now that OT loss against the Islanders. I'm sorry, but on that Frenzy Tuesday, they're not beating the New York Rangers. This is going to be a 4 games losing streak. I will apologize if they beat the Rangers. I don't see I think this is going to be a night, Daph, where Samuel Montembeault needs to do what he did in the first game of the season against the Leafs, because those Rangers coming in hot, I think it could be a blowout at Bell Center on Tuesday night.
Yeah, and we've talked, and Martin St. Louis talked about, immature reactions. And I feel like this is what we've been seeing. And this is what I didn't want to see in the beginning of the season, not making the same rookie mistakes. And we're doing it. And do you feel like against the Islanders, so there's people who are seeing the game as we've shown some character, and there are other ones seeing just like we've played catch up. It seems like I said catch up, whatever, catch up. How do you feel about this game against the Islanders? Did you feel like we've shown some character and we've shown good things, or did we play catch up?
You know what I don't like? I feel like the morals were so high to start the year. Why does it feel so low right now? Even like if there is one guy among the, for lack of a better word, star players on the Habs, because a Leaf fan would argue there are no star players on the Habs, but let's not go there. Like if there's one player who's been bringing it this year so far and doing his job, is Cole Caulfield. He has 6 goals in 6 games. Kevin Laramie told us to start the show that he is the first Habs to do this since Brian Savage in 1999, which is absolutely crazy. Brian Savage was Mr. October. Every year it looked like he was going to be a 30-goal scorer, and he would end up with like 22. Anyways, and even he, did you hear that answer he gave to a journalist after a game, after that game actually? It was asked like, does the shoulder feel better or whatever? And he looked completely pissed off by the question, calling it a crazy question. I was like I don't mind players, fighting. It's like there is a way to do it that can be respectful. I felt like this. I was looking at this. I was like, first of all, that's not a crazy question. Second of all, the famous, legendary "Why you so pissy, Leon" clip. I was in my apartment going like, "Why are you so mad, Cole?" Like, I don't know. Like, part of me feels like it's good because they don't like losing. Part of me goes like, yeah, but that's not the way. Like, it feels more like, oh no, not again, and like, putting your head down type of thing more than like fighting back energy. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I didn't like this one bit.
Yeah, it was kind of an ego thing, I feel.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And you know what? Like, if we're looking out for what's going wrong or why the morale is so down, I feel like not having, and I don't want to blame him, but having Nick Suzuki not looking at his best right now, I feel like he's not confident in his game. And I feel like it has affected the team.
You think? Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, we've kind of become accustomed to Nick Suzuki not having good starts to season to the point of excusing it. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that one bit. It's a thing when you don't have any expectations, but now the Habs themselves have set expectations, and to meet those expectations, to reach those goals, you need to start on time. Yeah. I had 2 players in my beer league coming in late last night, including the goalie. You know what he did? He gave a freaking goal on the first shot. I knew it was going to happen. He missed the warm-up.
No.
And that's just beer league. We don't give a damn. This is the NHL. You can't miss you can't excuse not having good starts to seasons year in, year out, especially in this day and age. We've both worked with ex-players from prior generations who would tell us training camp nowadays aren't what they used to be. It's called a training camp because back in our days, it was a training camp. It was back in shape time, lose that beer belly that you got over the sun. Like nowadays, players train 12 months a year or almost. They're you're supposed to come in more than ready. During rookie camp in Montreal, I went to the rookie camp, and so the Habs training facility, I'm guessing like a lot of NHL's training facility, has 2 ice. And the rookies were training, and this is a week and a half before camp, and almost all the veterans were on the other ice training. Like that day those days that I was there, I know Caulfield wasn't there, but like everybody's there. You're there training, you're building chemistry. There is no reason to excuse systematically a tough start to a season, in my opinion.
No, and I feel like it's not an excuse also to not having a good preseason. Like the plan wasn't like they haven't been playing accordingly to the plan in the preseason because Laine got injured and there was a bunch of things, but this is not an excuse. And I feel like it's starting to show that they're shaky. The preseason has been shaky, and now it just like, you're kind of in a role, and you need to break out of this whole circle circle of being shaky. I don't. It's a good illustration for people who are looking.
Yeah, we're gonna put that on a loop and just gif it. It's gonna be beautiful. Do you think Caulfield's having Do you think Caulfield has 40 goals in him this year? He's 6 for 6 right now, shooting 30%.
I don't want to get him on the Brian Savage curse, but I don't feel that he has 40 in him.
No,
more around 30. Because you
just
cannot
30?
carry. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. You cannot carry the offense all year round. I don't know. I may be too severe on this one. But yeah. 33.
33. There were 17 40-goal scorer in the league last year. Cole Caulfield's main selling point is goal scoring ability. At some point, he has to become a 40-goal scorer. I know that the talent around you and all that has an impact on it. I don't think anybody ever had Zach Hyman scoring 50 on their bingo card. But with that being said, he has to. I have him quite around 39, 40. Like, I think he might do it really flush. Just because I looked at the stats for fun this weekend. Well, not actually, that was not for fun. That was for work. That's my job. It's for fun. And like last year was a down year for him in terms of shooting percentage. So if with the way, I mean, obviously he's not going to shoot 30% all year, but if he's just keeping the pace that he has had since St. Louis took over and he plays a full season, I think 40 is the number, but let's wait and see because he hasn't even hit 30 yet. So like I'm here saying like just 33, but he hasn't even had that yet. That would be his career high. So,
and for me, it's more looking at what is the ability of the Habs to score.
Yeah,
they're not a high scoring team. They haven't been since the past season. So that's just, it's not against Caulfield. It's just, I don't see the Habs having a lot of goals.
And as we are announcing this, as we are recording this, I'm sorry, the Habs just announced that Juraj Slavkovsky is going to miss a week for the Montreal Canadiens. That's tough. That's tough. This team has so much bad luck when it comes to injury. It's to a point where you have to wonder, is it bad luck? Martin St. Louis has already announced that Kirby Dach will play with Suzuki and Caulfield in Slavkovsky's
That was my next
absence.
question.
Wow. Okay. So, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. He already thought about it. And I was wondering if you were, because you were to, break the first line, but having Dach on the first line, it's kind of really surprising.
Well, Kirby Dach has not been good in the face-off circles. Oliver Kapanen is taking on the second line centerman's duty. Wow. Okay, that's going to be an interesting few days for the Montreal Canadiens. Let's go back all the way west where the Vancouver Canucks slowly but surely are finding some kind of groove. They did get a point in every game but one so far this season. We are really close. Like, we are like a player or two away from talking about the Canucks as a team having a strong start to the season. I think the discourse around the Canucks would be completely different if one, Thatcher Demko was there, and two, Elias Peterson was playing better. It's not pretty right now, but, a 2-1-2 record without playing your best hockey, to me, is really, really not bad for the Canucks as of right now.
Yeah, and some players have stepped up, and I feel like Quinn Hughes, like he's having a good start right now, and it's just been good for the Canucks. Yeah. And you were worrying about Thatcher Demko, but somehow, and I feel like this is because they have Ben's defensive and in Quinn Hughes and the defensive team, but Kevin Lankinen have had like a good save percentage in the 3 stars that he had for the Canucks.
Yeah. Well, if he's the short term answer for the Canucks, this is going to be good. I don't want to say surprise, but Brock Besler's leading the way. And I was reading an article on, I think it was the Athletic Vancouver. JT Miller, unfortunately, had an injury in game. He came back, though. JT Miller he's not an Iron Man per se because he has missed some games. But over the past 4 seasons, the most game he has missed is 3 in 2021. He's missed 2 in 21-22 and 1 in each of the past years. He came back, he played, but he didn't take a lot of face-offs. And of course, JT Miller is the best player in the circle for the Vancouver Canucks. He is running at a very high 61.1% so far. And Brock Besler took some face-off to lead him because clearly it was some sort of injuries that, like upper body injuries, that had an impact on him taking face-off, but not enough to leave games. This is going to be interesting for the Canucks to see what they have to do in the meantime. But I'm weirdly starting to get more confident in the Canucks because a bit like the Oilers, I'm in the mood of, okay, so they're not playing their best hockey and this is what we get. This is good.
What do you think about the Senators?
I still like the Senators. I still like the start of the season for the Senators. It's nothing spectacular. It's nothing too bad. Forsberg didn't look that bad against the Devils. They have a tough 2 games, a tough week against coming for them. So I still like the Senators. Now, David Perron has to take some time off for personal reasons, but this is a big week for Ottawa. So on Tuesday, the 32 teams playing, they're at Utah. Kevin Laramie's Utah Hockey Club, who's having a heck of a start to the season. Then they're at Vegas, who don't have the best start of the season, but T-Mobile Arena, again, this season looks to be a fortress. I think they won their first 3 games there. And then they're at Colorado, who are starting to look a little bit more like the Colorado Avalanche, despite goalie woes. So it's a tough road trip. It's a very tough road trip for the Ottawa Senators. I can't wait to see what they do. I feel like even just a 1-1-1 result, a win, a loss, and a loss in OT would be a very decent result for the Senators. But it's a tough stretch. They get the Blues then at home. They go back after that at the Rangers. So and you add to that the Devils and the Lightning. It's a tough 7-game stretch for Ottawa.
Yeah, there's going to be no chill there. And I feel like the win on Saturday was maybe crucial to start like on the right foot. But yeah, it's going to be very, very tough for the Senators.
But to me, we talked about it last episode, but I'm really happy to see Tim Stutzla seeming to prove that 2 years ago is the standard and not last year is the standard. For the Ottawa Senators, it's all about going to be finding consistency, I feel like. And obviously, if they can have Linus Ullmark in the net more often than not, that will be good. And also, we haven't talked about it that much, but we talked about it when we started the season. I've been severe of Jake Sanderson. The man is looking like a bona fide number 1 D to start the year.
Yeah, and we were also wondering about Josh Norris, and if those two can be consistent and just like look good, it's gonna be a well-balanced team.
Jake Sanderson's playing 25 minutes and 49 seconds per night so far. Ooh. So this is a whole lot of minutes, but he's just a kid. And his life ain't a nightmare. He's just a kid. He has some wind in his lungs. Yes, that was a Simple Plan reference for those of you wondering.
That is good. Simple Plan for the Leafs song?
No. Simple Plans are Montrealer. Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
Don't you dare. Even Sum 41, no, I think they're from Ajax, Ontario. Yeah, Sum 41's from Ajax, Ontario. You could go with Sum 41. I can let them have Sum 41. This is it for our tour across Canada. Now, let's talk about that frozen frenzy. Let's go back south of the border, if you may.
Hyperdrive Hockey is brought
32 teams 16 games, all of them in action on Tuesday. A few of them are really interesting, Daph. And the first one is not really for the team themselves, but Matvei Mishkov playing against Alex Ovechkin on Tuesday. Philly, of course, against Washington has to be amazing. I still can't wrap my head around the fact that some kids like Mishkov were born when Ovi and Sid were starting their career. I still don't see that.
No,
It's
let's not
so
go
weird.
there. Let's not go there.
I just
It's
did.
making us feel old.
I just
Very
did.
old.
Matvei Mishkov was born in December 9, 2004. So Ovi was already drafted because he was drafted earlier, and of course the year was lost to the lockout. So Matvei Mishkov was born during the lockout. But yeah, Mishkov having, I feel like, quietly a decent start to his NHL career with 4 points in 5 games. I don't know if you caught this on the 32 Thought podcast, but Elliot Friedman said of the Washington Capitals forward Tom Wilson that he could be on Team Canada. I've got to admit, of course I'm talking the Four Nations tournament here. I'm scratching my head here. I always think that sometimes Team Canada's the people in charge of Team Canada's are overthinking some very simple things, like take the best damn players and put them, and you say to a guy like back in the days when Eric Stahl, Corey Perry, and Ryan Getzlaf was a role line. Like, if you take the best damn player and you say, "Hey, here to win a gold medal, are you ready to be a third liner?" Of course, I will do it. So I think that's a bit of overthinking, but hey, let's not, we'll get to the river. We'll drink the water when we get to the river. But yeah, the Washington Capitals are having a very, very good start to the season with 3 wins and only a loss in 4 games. For the Philadelphia Flyers, though, the Philadelphia Flyers, Daph, are looking like the team that I was expecting last year. And then they surprised all season, ended up missing the playoffs barely. This, to me, is the Philadelphia Flyers that I was expecting. They're currently sitting last in the whole Eastern Conference.
And I regret having my bold prediction saying that they're going to have more points than the Penguins.
Oh, tough. Tough. Really tough. The
And
Colorado Avalanche is... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. It's going to be a hard night for the Stars against... for the Buffalo Sabres against the Stars. And like, ooh, this game's going to be, ooh, it's
Buffalo
frightening.
did seem to have a bit of a groove in a game or two, but
yeah, but it's against the Stars.
Yeah, no, it will be tough. Colorado at Seattle is a game I am watching for many reasons. Number one is the Avalanche have finally won 2 straight games. Ross Colton has 5 goals, but Kel McCarr. It's kind of weird because he took the blame after the second or the third loss, and I understood why. Like, he's getting his point, but defensively it looked like a train wreck. But Kel McCarr has 2 goals and 10 assists to start the season. Him and Nate Dogg both have a point in each of the Avalanche game. Meanwhile, the new captain of the Seattle Kraken, Jordan Eberle, has 5 goals in 6 games. This is going to be a very interesting game. The Kraken has won its last 3, and for Colorado, now it's only a question of goaltending. I read an article about them maybe getting in on John Gibson. John Gibson obviously not being the goalie he once was, but is it just a question of playing behind a bad team for so long? I think the Avalanche slowly but surely are getting back. I will not start believing in the Colorado Avalanche until there is a man wearing the pillows that can use him to stop a damn puck.
Is John Gibson really the right choice? I mean, what has he left like in the tank? For me, is still a mystery. As you said, like, is it because he hasn't played for a good team in a long time? But you're like Gibson, and also the salary that he has.
That's a big problem.
It's a cap hit for $6.4 million. Is really John Gibson the right choice?
I don't know. Honestly, I think Colorado is going to have to wait this one out as long as possible to try to minimize whoever they get. But it's not looking good. It really isn't looking good right now. And hopefully the big dogs of that team are good enough to put them in a good position at the deadline for them to acquire a goalie. It's going to be interesting to see who's available at that moment. Obviously, you never know what can happen in an NHL season, but it's going to be very interesting.
But for me, the John Gibson moves is a no-no.
Yeah.
I don't
I've
feel like
always
it's good
loved
there.
that goalie. I always wondered because there is something very weird about John Gibson. Like, I would say his prime was what, 2014 to 20, whatever, 19, 20.
19. Yeah.
And I feel like every year he would start on a freaking roll. Top 3 goalies in the league. And then he would slowly decline during the year. And I've always wondered, is it just because he has such a big workload behind such a bad team? Or does he just not have enough gas in the tank? I've always wondered. And I feel like we might never have the answer because unfortunately, things can change. I mean, freaking Anthony Stolar is 30 years old, suddenly a number 1 goalie in Toronto. Hey, whatever. I think we might never have the answer. That is going to be very interesting. Very interesting to see.
Well, I'm there with my popcorn to see what's going to happen.
Yes, you are. I know you are. Just a last quick one. The Nashville Predators are hosting the Boston Bruins in that Tuesday frenzy. The Nashville Predators are the only team in the league without a point, and hosting the Boston Bruins is not what you want to get back on track. Oh, I hope tonight is the night for the Preds. I am so not convinced. I think this could be another game without a point for the Preds.
Yeah, it's not looking good. And you're just like, you want to grab yourself and just like stop this train wreck. And you're just like, oh, there are the Bruins. Not tonight.
The good news for the Preds is that they're playing the Blackhawks and the Blue Jackets afterwards. You have no choice. You have no choice to get those 2 games to finally find some grooves, because after that, Tampa, Edmonton, Colorado. Good luck to the Nashville Predators. Could this team that we lauded so much, at least I did, like have such a big false start that they never get in the mix? That will be very interesting to see.
Oh, that would be awful.
It would really be. I like the Preds. I love Barry Trotz. Give me Barry Trotz any time of the week. Give me the short king UC Stars. I'm sad. I'm sad for the Preds. This is not what I had in
the hopes were so high, and then
oh yeah, I bought the hype. I at a high price, and I'm holding on to it like a man who bought whatever, like some blockbuster stocks in 2008. Yeah,
holding on to it.
Yeah, not a good idea. Okay, before we let you go today, let's move on to a little game of Mystery Player.
Ooh.
I would like to thank everybody for the kind words regarding my very humble performance of the Maurice Richard trophies last week. Daph had me finding every single Rocket Richard trophy winner. To be fair, considering the fact that Alex Ovechkin has won almost half of those trophies, wasn't that hard.
But it's tricky. It gets tricky there.
It really was. It really, really was. Today, we are playing a game of Mystery Players. Today, I concocted the game, and Daph and Kev will be playing. So, I have a mystery player for Daph and Kev. I will give them the player's career tree, the teams he's played for, and in the order. Kev and Daph have 2 questions each to try and find the player. Daph, are you ready for this little game?
Oh, yeah, but I'm so bad at those.
Oh, Mr. Kevin Laramie, are you ready for the game?
Yes, I'm ready. And
okay.
I'm very ready.
Guys, don't sell yourself. Oh, Kev looks like a guy who already knows who we're talking about here. That is interesting.
Maybe I actually just saw the logos. I'm like, yeah, there's only one guy I can think of, so we'll see.
I hope
it's
you
a
don't
good
Google
one,
it. That would be cheating, Kevin.
No.
So the player we are looking for started his career off with the Detroit Red Wings. Played for the Anaheim Ducks, Mighty Ducks. Went on to the Columbus Blue Jackets before ending his career with the Washington Capitals. Does any of you have a question regarding that player?
I'll let Daph start, and I'll ask my question after, because I got a really good question.
Okay, is he a forward or a defenseman?
The gentleman is a forward.
Okay. I'm thinking. Kev, do you have a question?
I'll let you go with the question because my question is going to be a little bit too obvious. So I'll let you go with that.
Hey, if you know, you know. Huh?
Okay. Did the player ever date a tennis player called Anna Kournikova? Second question: is he really not a big fan of Enrique Iglesias? Those are my two questions.
Kev, I gotta be honest with you. You know who the guy is, but I want to know that story. He's my favorite, one of my favorite player all time. I wear my beer league number because of him, and I do not know that story. So, Kev, clearly you know who he is. Go ahead.
We're talking about here Mr. Sergei Fyodorov, who, of course, we think of him more of a Detroit Red Wings player, and we forget that he finished his career in a very low-profile role with the Washington Capitals after not really successful stints with the Anaheim Ducks and the Columbus Blue Jackets at the beginning of their history. The story with Enrique Iglesias is, after being the boyfriend of Anna Kournikova for a few years, she decided to like pop music instead of liking hockey, and for a long time her boyfriend was Enrique Iglesias, which Sergei Fyodorov was never really happy about. So that's my tea for today.
Wow. Kevin Laramie bringing the amazing pop culture reference. I'm loving it. I did not even know that.
It's back in my day too. So we're talking about like mid 2000s, the beginning of the 2000s. Bailamos was a very big hit, you know, and of course nobody remembers that it was in the movie Wild Wild West. That is a terrible, terrible movie with a great soundtrack.
I have a confession to make, Kev. I was a kid when Wild Wild West came out. I loved the movie as a kid.
Don't watch it again. Don't watch it again.
No, I did. I went on the Will Smith movie marathon pre-slap because I feel like Will Smith late 90s run might be one of the biggest run in both music and Hollywood history. Yeah. Like his stretch of movies and album was absolutely amazing. And I realized that Wild Wild West is what killed the run because I watched it and I was like, why did I like that movie? When you're a kid, you don't care.
So, of course, Bad Boys, all-time classic, the first one. They should have stopped after the first one. And then Men in Black.
I kind of like the second one, to be honest.
Well, the third one is actually better than the second one, in my opinion.
Really?
I haven't seen the
I have yet to watch Bad Boys for Life. It's on my Netflix list.
I haven't watched it either. And second Bad Boys, the soundtrack is not really aging well if we look at who produced that soundtrack. I can't mention his name.
Oh, no.
I don't have any oil with me right now, so I can't mention his name. But when we're looking
God.
Men in Black, that was, of course, that was the movie that came, the big movie of Will Smith that came after Independence. They were like, okay, we got a good run here. But Wild Wild West, which, by the way, great song with Cisco. But the rest, that's not great.
The Wild Wild West song, the theme song is amazing.
It was one of the best songs that my dad could pull up in a car to just like bring up the mood in us.
Wild Wild West?
Absolutely.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
We really liked it. And for my girls out there who are listening, I would say that never look back on a Olsen Twins movie. Never do that. It's going to ruin your whole childhood. Wow. Thanks a lot.
I was not ready for that. Wow. Mary-Kate and Ashley, huh? Who would have thought that their younger sister would end up being the biggest superstar of them
the
all?
best actress of the three, for sure, by far.
Absolutely. But Passport for Paris was my all-time favorite. And I just rethought about the whole story recently. I saw a TikTok and I was like, this is such a stupid movie. And I rewatched it and ruined the whole thing. So never do that.
Movies, when we go back and rewatch, like Home Alone, if it happens in 2024, you just text your parents, guys, did you forget me? Okay, we're coming right back. It doesn't age well.
Yeah, but it's still good. I mean, I watch it every year with excitement. It's still very good. Like, it's not that the story is not making sense in as of right now. It's just because it's really bad.
That's the thing with
Home Alone,
That's the thing with our childhood memories. You can rewatch Wild Wild West and go, that shit is bad. And you can, like I did a week ago with my niece, introduce her to the Marvel of the Lion King and still cry when Mufasa dies. With
Never
that
get
being said, rip to Mufasa, rip to the great Jim Earl Jones, Mufasa, Darth Vader, and many more. And with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in today for Hyperdrive Hockey, which went Hyperdrive pop culture for the last 5 minutes here. And this is amazing. We love this. My name is Max Vanout alongside Daphne Malbeuf and Kevin Laramie. Everybody have a good Frozen Frenzy. And we will talk to you on the next episode of Hyperdrive Hockey. We are available on the Hyperdrive Hockey page on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you listen to your podcast. And of course, please consider subscribing to Game Over Network's YouTube channel and Game Over in your local market. So that is Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton, and Vancouver. And we will talk to you on the next episode of Hyperdrive Hockey. Have a good week, everyone.